Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is your boy Wahala back again with the continuation of debunking and rebuttal to the Deacon and his YouTube page in regards to Polynesians are not Israelites. Why you always lying? So, as I said, I'm continuing to respond to all the questions that these guys are asking or the points that they're raising and see if I can counter their questions or answer the questions that they're asking. So let's continue. I'm just going to press play and then we'll go from there.
Question. Because they were Samoan and they were Hawaiian. And they were Tongan before they went into slavery. Yeah, they've always. And guess what they were after slavery? The same thing. Mm-hmm. Who took their culture? Nobody. God. No. That's. They still speak that language. Who fuck? Can't say that. That's. You know, I'm down in South America. Our brothers are Colombian, meaning Christopher Columbus. Right. Puerto Rican, Dominican. Now look. So what I'm gonna do is. I'm gonna kind of roughly paraphrase some of these, right? Now it says I'm gonna go to where it says, so that a man that is tender and delicate among you, his eye shall be evil towards his brother. What is this? The SOS is against the Tongan bull? What he said? Sons of Samoa. Sons of Samoa, the Tongan Bloods. The Tongan Crips. They got some big gang beefs, but they still embrace each other. Like, I'm putting it to you like this, right? If you deal with the prison system in California, right? You know, you go to the prison system, it's 6 sides. You got one side, is Esau, the so-called white man, the South Side Mexican, and the Paisa Mexican, right? The other side is the Northern Mexican, Black, and other, right? So the Samoans and them, they are part of the other card, right? Mm-hmm. The Black card will have a riot against itself, right? Bloods and Crips. But if you're a Samoan blood and Crip, you coming in that damn prison, you're not having no riot against yourself. But of course, Issachar, the Northern and Southern Issachar is rioting with each other. Within the Black card, Judah is riding with each other. The other card, where the Samoans, Tongans, them at, they all riding together in solidarity. They're not having no riot with each other. Right. It's not happening. So it says, speaking of jail, look at this. So the prophecy states that we will be hid in prison houses. That's a curse as well as a prophecy. And what does it say, right? 39% for whites, of course, because they have a higher population. 19%.
Okay. Sometimes it's comical, right? Listening to these guys. What they fail to understand is that Israelite isn't just based in America, mate. Alright? Israelites are scattered to the four corners of the earth. These curses do not just apply in America, family. These curses apply wherever Israelites are. So here we have these guys, it sounds like it's, what's his name, the gorilla guy, Gorilla Hebrew, in this discussion, and then you got Deacon responding, and they sound so prideful, man, you know, and they're trying to make it seem like all these curses have to fit within a specific location. When Deuteronomy 28 verse 15 doesn't tell you a specific location, it applies to the children of Israel wherever they are. And if you read the scriptures, it tells you that we were scattered, right, to the four corners. So they're talking about statistics within America. But as I said, wherever the children of Israel are, they will also be going through the same situations with the other tribes. That's why I constantly keep saying, when in America with the Native Indians, they constantly protest regarding their lands, the injustice that occurred in regards to the Westerners and what they're doing within the land. There is no difference within the South Pacific. We're going through the same situation, right? That's why in New Zealand, for example, New Zealand is a new name. It's a Western name that's been given to them. See how they're picking and choosing specific locations, right? And they're trying to say that these languages still exist. So what? Right? We speak English. Right now I'm speaking English. Who cares if we still speak island dialogue? But what you're failing to understand is a lot of islanders do not speak the same language how they used to speak prior to the invasion. Dialogues change throughout time. Even in New Zealand, their dialogue has changed. We call it the Aotearoa language, or Tangata Whenua language. But to say that because the prison state in America is mostly black, right, Hispanic, and there's only a small percentage of Polynesian, which means we don't fit the curses. As I said, in different parts of the world, we're going through the same shit. Come to Aotearoa, the biggest statistics of inmates in prison are the indigenous, the locals, the tribe of Ngāwhatali. It bewilders me how these guys are trying to make it seem like that you have to be within the land of the North to fit all these curses. That makes no sense. Where's Argentina within that list? Would they be considered native as well? Where's Chile on that list? Would they be considered native as well? I don't know how many times I have to try to emphasize this, that the Chileans are the same people of the people of the South Pacific. But once again, I want to emphasize, not all Polynesians are descendants of those that came from Chile. The Manchu nation. And it's funny because if you look up the word Lima, right, we have there's a place within Peru called Lima, Lima, right? And in the Pacific dialogue we have the word Lima. Where does it come from? These are Spanish words, man, that have been applied throughout the South Pacific. Why? Because the same people that were causing issues in South America were the same people that were in the South Pacific. Who do you think that kidnapped us and took us from the South Pacific all the way to the Peru iguana fields again? It was the Spanish whalers, the same people that were causing issues within South America and also Mexico and North America. This is what you're missing within these situations. But I'm going to continue, but in regards to the statistics within America, you're missing one element. America is only one location. Israelites in the four corners of the earth are going through the same situation. As I said, within the South Pacific, the greatest population that are imprisoned are Ngāwhatali. They're the greatest they're the most people that are highly classed to be put in prison, because that's prophecy, right? But your issues are you're basing it within a specific location that we have to fit your opinion or your interpretation of the scriptures. when the scriptures tell you that Israelites not all in one place. So you've got a problem there, Sicarii. But I'm just going to continue with this video. Let's go.
For Latinos, 40% for blacks, 1.5. This would include your Asians, your South Asians, your Polynesians, and so on. Look at their. They're supposed to be hid in prison houses.
I mean, the only person who's less locked up than them is probably the damn Amalekite.
Yeah. You can't force fit these guys into the prophecy.
Yeah, and also it said we're gonna be like the sand of the sea. We're gonna be deep. Those people are not a substantial people on the earth.
And where's the Africans in this, right? Why is it Africa on this list as well? But other than that, what was that question that Sicarii asked? I'm just going to replay it again.
Like, if Samoa, look up the size, the geography of Samoa versus the geography of Puerto Rico for me real quick. As far as the size. Pull those stats up. I want to know the land mass. Only because you said so. Right, Puerto Rico, did you pull it up? Yeah.
Okay, so Samoa is 1,097 square miles, and
mind you, it's two Samoas. It's Western Samoa and American Samoa. They got two islands.
Yeah, and then Puerto Rico is a little over 5,000.
Okay, so Puerto Rico is bigger, but what's the other Samoa?
How about Hawaii? Hawaii looks to be bigger than Puerto Rico.
See how Deacon Sicarii's trying to make a point here, but he's failing. So Deacon is trying to help him by adding Hawaii to the list. Shocking, mate.
They got multiple islands.
Right. Okay.
And why is it that the whole world knows what a damn Puerto Rican is? And there's millions, there's more of them off.
See the stupid comments that Gorilla Hebrew makes? These statements don't make any sense. So he's trying to indicate because people around the world know where Puerto Rico is, which makes no sense to me, because I guarantee that's an incorrect statement. If you go to someone in Africa, all right, and ask them where Puerto Rico is, there's possibly a small percentage that will probably know where Puerto Rico is, all right? You go to somewhere in China, they probably won't know where Puerto Rico is. Well, I understand not everybody knows where Samoa is, all right? It makes no sense. You ask people where Chile is around the world, maybe only a small percentage will know where Chile is. But to say that everybody knows where Puerto Rico is, that's utter lying, man. You know, he's trying to hype things up, but you're not using your common sense, right? It seems like these guys have utter hatred, bro. I just don't get it. That everyone knows where Puerto Rico is. This is his standpoint. This is his standpoint to prove that Polynesians aren't Israelites. That everybody knows where Puerto Rico is and everybody doesn't know where Samoa is. That's his standpoint to say that we're not Israelites.
Island, then on the island, millions of these people. They can't say the same. They're not fruitful to multiply. Well, then they're not. Are they the?
So he's saying that Samoans aren't fruitful multiplying, and yet then he classes everybody Polynesian within the South Pacific. You know how big South Pacific is and how many people dwell in there? And you're saying that we're not multiplying? Is this guy even thinking guerrilla Hebrew? Bruh. This guy calls us Japheth. Japheth is supposed to be enlarged. And he's saying that we're not multiplying? Let's continue, eh?
Of the world. Where's like, damn, where's the Samoan Michael Jordan? You heard the dude from Louisville? Siva. You heard of Siva? Who else? I remember there's basically, where's the Muhammad Ali of Samoans? Why is the so-called black?
Okay, so we got this guy, Hassad. Right? See the points that these guys are bringing up? They want us to prove who was the Michael Jordan of Samoa. Are they serious? Who was the Muhammad Ali of Samoa? Are you serious? Should we go there? Should we show them some people that are known worldwide? Should we? Let's go, eh? Okay, who should we start with? So his first question is, see, basketball isn't as big as here in the South Pacific. We do play basketball, don't get us wrong. But the main sport that we play here in the South Pacific is rugby. How many times do I have to say it? And rugby is a worldwide sport. Everybody knows this guy around the world. And when I say around the world, I'm talking about rugby fanatics around the world. So I'm going to type in... This guy would be considered the Michael Jordan of rugby. This guy's showing agility, speed, power. These guys in the north, in America, don't know who this guy is. Well, let me restate that. People in America do know who this guy is. They were NFL, American football, that were scouting this guy, offering him big money to come and play in American football. Look at the movement, just like a hind let loose. Stepping, moving when predators are trying to attack it. Alright? Look at the movements. This guy, Jonah Lomu, rest in peace, was known worldwide. Obviously not everybody in the world would know him, but within the rugby world, everybody knew who Jonah Lomu was. He was in the same type of fame as Michael Jordan. But once again, Sicarii or them had to base it in America. Right? But as I said, people in America knew who Jonah Lomu was. You had celebrities that knew who he was too. You had great athletes And within the NFL, they knew him.
He just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else alone, in spite of the fact that some people still think that they don't, but no, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality. Making it know what you think in the story, making sure the click stays up.
Look at the speed at this guy. Look how big he is. And he's moving. He's moving so fast, man. But people underestimate us Islanders, but hey, let's continue. So Hassad was also asking boxing. Should we go there? You know, obviously, no one... See, Muhammad Ali is one of my favorites too. Right? But this is our Muhammad Ali within the South Pacific. You know, and the sad thing is, when you're trying to make these statements regarding Islanders that we have to prove all these things, wouldn't you have to apply this to Argentina and Chile as well? Who's the David Tour, right, of Chile? Or even Argentina, right? Who's the Michael Jordan within these lands? You got probably Messi within soccer. Right, I don't know. I don't disagree with that. They got some awesome soccer players. But let's bring up David Tour. Just to answer Hassad.
White letters and weighing in at 225 pounds. He comes to us from Auckland, New Zealand, with a perfect record of 22-0. 18 KOs to his credit. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the undefeated challenger, David Tua.
And you know that David Tour sparred with Holyfield. You know why Holyfield used David Tour? Because Holyfield was preparing for Mike Tyson. Holyfield actually mentioned that David Tour was the hardest puncher or the person that he's ever worked with. Right? But that preparation that he did with David Tour helped Holyfield beat Mike Tyson. Because David Tour was the Mike Tyson of the South Pacific. Alright? But we have so many boxers coming up. We've got Joseph Parker. We have so many that will rise as well. But we don't have the funds like you guys have in America. Alright? As I said, the main sport within the South Pacific is rugby. Even Esau knows our abilities. But other than that, I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. These questions that these guys within Sicarii that are asking, or these statements, it's just ridiculous, man. It's become a real joke. Okay. Let's continue.
So we would go from the land of the north to Israel, called Hispanics.
Polynesian. Look up the size, the geography of Samoa.
Because it's documented. But why? Because they didn't lose their identity and nationality.
See, the thing is, you know, they're basically because we keep our culture. How about the native Indians that still practice their powwow? Right? And then you have people within Mexico that still practice Inca. These are practices before the Spanish invasions. And yet, you know, once again, what they're failing to understand is that I'm speaking English right now. I can't even speak Samoan dialogue. Half of the South Pacific, right, for example, American Samoa, uses American currency. Come to Australia, the Aborigines have to try to live a Western life. Their culture is still around, but a lot of their generation don't know it. Why? Because they've been westernized. It makes no sense to throw stones and try to say that because we got our culture, that means that we're not Israelites. And yet ignore the fact that Native American Indians still practice powwow. If you don't know what powwow, P-O-W, second word wow, W-O-W, is where they continue their culture. It makes no sense. So let's continue.
So let's deal with the slavery. Because they say, look, they went into slavery. They went into slavery. Okay, let's talk about it.
All right, shalom, D.
Shalom. You had to mute for a second? I didn't know you was muted. You was muted? Oh, he fell off. Okay, so they say, look, they went into slavery. They went into slavery. Well, let's look and see. Let's look and check out if their slavery fits the curses in prophecy. Blackbirding. The 19th and early 20th century practice of enslaving South Pacific Islanders on the cotton and sugar plantations of Queensland, Australia, as well as those of Fiji and Samoan Islands. The kidnapped islanders were known collectively as Kanakas. Blackbirding was especially prevalent between 1847 and 1904. That's about 50 years.
And he's ignoring the word blackbirding.
50 years of slavery. The Queensland's government first attempt to control it came only in 1868 with the Polynesian Labourers Act, which provided for the regulation of the treatment of Kanaka laborers who theoretically worked off of their own free will for a specified period, and licensing of recruiters because the Queensland's government lacked the constitutional power outside of its own borders. The regulation could not be enforced. Moreover, the fact that the notorious and brutal blackbirders were able to retain their license seems to indicate that the government was not seriously trying to end the practice. British Government Acts of 1870. So, all we see here, blackbirding died out only as a result of law. So what we see here is a 50-year slavery. Cool. A 50-year slavery on Samoans or certain Polynesians of those islands. Well, it says Australia, Fiji, and Samoan. That doesn't entail the rest of those Polynesian islands. But let's just entertain this. I don't see them going on any slave ships anywhere, for one. It's 50-year chicken shit slavery. What does the Bible say? The Bible says the slavery would be a 430-year captivity. They weren't in a 430-year captivity. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 4. Lie thou also upon thy it says, verse 3, moreover, take thou unto thee an iron pan, and set it for a wall of iron between thee and the city, and set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged, and thou shalt lay siege against it.
See what Deacon's doing? He's reading from Wikipedia. Right? See, this is the main question I constantly ask people. When you look at the map, right, on the left of the Pacific Ocean is Asia, and on the right of the Pacific Ocean is America. You have these two massive land masses. I've already established that Polynesians or Pacific Islanders journeyed to the South Pacific. We did not originate in the South Pacific. But the question people fail to answer is, why did we come to the South Pacific? Why did we leave the land masses of Asia or South America? It was the same reasons why we left Assyria or Israel. We were being attacked. Once again, even in the time of Columbus, even after the time of Columbus, when the Spanish started coming in numbers and invading our locations. See, he's only reading a small portion on Wikipedia, and he's only reading one blackbirding. There has been many blackbirdings. He's missed the other part, right, which I already answered in regards to, did we serve captivity in America with the Negroes? And the answer is simple. All he has to do is type in blackbirding in Peru. Right? I'll give you a book that you can actually look up. Okay, let me bring up. Maybe if I just type in Polynesian slavery, maybe in Peru. Let's see if anything comes up. Yes. Any books? So you got these books here, right? It's this simple. You can actually look it up yourself. And these books can... I don't know how to enlarge it. Oh, there we go. So you got a book called Slavery in Paradise. Can you see at the bottom? The Peruvian Labor Trade in Polynesian 1862 to 1864. That's just one book. But see how they've taken up the word slavery and they put in the Peruvian Labor Trade? This is the trickery of Westerners. Alright? It's been way longer than 1862 to 1864. It was actually way before that. It was during. It was also after the 1500s. See how long I've just given you the period from when the Spanish invaded Chile. They were also in the South Pacific invading us as well. So 40 years that Deacon is quoting is 1,000% incomplete. This is only one of many books. And you've got this other book you can look up as well. See if we can enlarge it. It's by the same author, Slavery in Paradise. It's probably the same book. But you can find all this information. You've got Kontiki, you can also look up as well. But there's so much information you can actually find. It's not hard, man. It's not rocket science. But just to counter Deacon's statement of 40 years, he's only reading a small percentage of what was recorded. But there's so much information that you can actually find if you just do the proper research. But I'll continue. So there was blackbirding within Australia with the Kanakas. It was mostly Melanesians that went to Australia in the sugarcane field, but there were also other Polynesian groups like Tonga. Then you had Tokelau, Niue. Right? But I'll continue.
This shall be the sign to the house of Israel, all of Israel. It says, lie thou also upon thy left side.
See, and he's just cut himself. This is a sign for all of Israel, not just in America, Deacon. See how easy he's cutting himself? He's trying to prove that all these curses only apply within America. No, Deacon, it applies to all Israel. That's why, as I said, in the South Pacific, within the prison statistics, Nefertari, or who you call the Polynesians, are the highest within that realm. Right? And other points of within the scriptures in Deuteronomy 28, right? We were once up here within the South Pacific. And now look at Hawaii. Let's use Hawaii, for example. The Hawaiians aren't ruling that island anymore. You have Japan in there. You have Esau in there. Right? You got so many other countries within that island that they're not even ruling. Even yourself, Deacon, you went there and published your music, while the locals of that land were suffering, protesting, fighting for their rights on their land. No different to the Native Americans that were fighting for their land. Alright? And you say we don't fit the curses. Well, that's one curse that I've just told you. That we were once up here and now we're down here, and everybody else that comes into our land are up here. All throughout the South Pacific, the same thing occurs. Samoa is no longer control of Samoans. That's why you have the words Western and American in front of the word Samoa. And even your boy Gorilla Hebrew used those words, Western and American Samoa. But let's continue.
Lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. According to the number of days that thou shalt lie upon them, thou shalt bear their iniquity. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity. So there's no open interpretation here. This is literally saying the days represent years. So it says 390 days, so that thou should bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. So 390 years. When the hell did the Samoans go through a 390-year captivity? Or the Polynesians go through a 390-year captivity? But I can show you the Northern Kingdom over here, 1492 and beyond, having to go through this large captivity and being transported by boats to Europe to serve slavery over there.
Uh-oh, he's cut himself. He's cut himself. You're supposed to be serving slavery in the north, not transported to another country. You cut yourself, Deacon.
Look what it says. And when thou accomplish them again, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year. So that's 430-year captivity that both kingdoms would be in together. The Polynesians weren't here for that.
I just proved it. I already proven it.
That only could have happened. This is another reason why we know we're the Israelites. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of those white Jews, this never happened in history. This only happened with who we say are the Israelites. The northern kingdom and southern kingdom, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That chicken shit 50-year slavery that they did over there, a couple of them islands did a 50-year bid. We're talking about the 430-year bid that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans had to do over here in this last captivity.
See what as I said, he's cutting himself. He said serving captivity over here. But then he just made a statement that the Native Americans were taken to another country to serve captivity. So is it over here or is it over there?
Now, this is the key. This is the kicker. This is the kicker. This is the kicker. Now, in Revelation chapter 7, John lists the tribes in geographical location just like how we have it on the 12 tribes chart. So, when we pull this out on you 12 tribe chart deniers, y'all be stuck hitting the mouth, stunned by the overhand right. Let's see if John the Revelator puts Polynesian islands in his geographical location of where the tribes will be when they're getting sealed in the geographical location. I'm gonna pull the picture up so we can do a side by side here. All praises to the Most High. You can't stand the truth. Okay, let's pull this up. So we got it right here, right? Let me try to scoot up on this thing. Dang. Okay, here we go. So we got our 12 tribe chart. You see it. I know you see it. Any, many, mo. Which one of y'all in the day want to go? Okay. So we got our little 12 tribe chart. What's going on in the chat? What's going on in the chat? Doug Hunt. How retarded is this guy?
Oh, man, sometimes Deacon just talks too much, man.
I'm about to open it up for a second after this. Now let's do it this. He names it, basically John quotes the 12 tribe chart as we have it today. So we're going to keep it because it's of the spirit of the Most High. What the hell? Hold on. Oh, wow.
Oh, looks like he's walked away. Can we do his glasses?
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped up. Yeah, Issachar 12,000. Well, who's next to Issachar? The same person John mentions. Of the tribe of Zebulon were still 12,000. You see that? From Guatemala to Panama. And they said that they were share the same tents. Neighbors to each other.
So he's just giving interpretations. You don't see Guatemala there. But anyway, let's entertain his thoughts, and we'll continue.
Here we go. Of Joseph 12,000, that's the Puerto Rican, and of Benjamin 12,000, right next to Puerto Rico, the Jamaican, the West Indies. We can't make this up. didn't mention anything about Polynesian, Samoan, Hawaiian here when he's listing the geographical location of the tribes in Revelation chapter 7. So this is just dealing with the bulk of our people, King Original. The bulk of our people, the bulk, the majority, the by and large of both kingdoms will.
So if anyone hasn't seen my video that I've made, where I just look up my videos on YouTube, where I show you the connection between South America and Polynesia. Hopefully you get some insight on it, because this guy Deacon obviously has no understanding. He hasn't been given wisdom on it. So I don't hold any grudges against Deacon, because he's just unlearned in this section. And as I said, he's failing, or he's failing on a lot of research. And I'm glad I'm awake so I can help out in that regards. But he's using revelations, which makes no sense to me, right? To say that everybody's in the north, which he's already cut himself, right? Because we know that Israelites are not just in the north. Isaiah 11:11 and verse 12 tells you specifically when Christ returns, he's going to gather the remnant. Let's continue on.
Here in the Americas, Babylon, because prophecy said so. And then a remnant would be scattered through the four corners of the earth. Listen up and read the Bible, my man. Dan is still in the Americas because the Bible said Dan came to Arsaris. They just have been reduced from tribes, so they cannot be sealed. There can't be 12,000 Danites sealed. Blood everywhere.
This guy hasn't given any much facts or proof. He's just using his own vain opinions. But in that, I'm just going to go through what I've already answered. So in the beginning of my other videos that I've created in regards to response to this, I already answered his, he wanted proof in regards to nothing, that Polynesians have speed and music. And I've already answered that. It's so simple. And then I raised the questions in regarding to the statement he made that Polynesians cannot be Israelites because we're not on the land of the north. So I asked the counter question in regards to the 12 tribe chart, asking, well, Jamaica is not on the land of the north. Cuba is not on the land of the north, right? And then you have Uruguay, Dominican Republic, Haiti, that aren't on the land of the north. which he's applying that all the tribes need to be on the land of the north. So he's cutting himself, right? As he just cut himself with all the tribes need to be serving servitude or slavery within the land of the north. And then he cuts himself by saying that American Indians were in captivity, but they were taken out of the land of the north. And then, Sicarii, I answered your question in regards to why Polynesians aren't in the prison cells as per statistic numbers that match natives and who you call African Americans or Judah, right? I already answered that as per, well, if we're doing history lessons, right? I'm saying that Chile, Argentina, and the South Pacific are one and the same people, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that all Polynesians are descendants of Chile and Argentina, because that's not factual, right? Because why? Because the word many in the word Polynesia or poly, right, means that there's many nations that are dwelling within these islands. which includes Elam, which includes Esau, which includes Hamites, right? And if you're saying that China and Japan are Ammon and Moab, well then Ammon and Moab are within these lands too. Right? So, once again, as I said, as Deacon read, that all the curses will apply to all Israelites. All Israelites. So in the South Pacific, the head or the nation that's heading the statistics of people within prisons are actually Naphtali themselves. They're the ones that are mostly within the prison cells of Esau. So I've also answered Hasa question in regards to has Polynesians ever been in captivity? Yes, blackbirding. As you see, Deacon brought out one article in Wikipedia in regards to blackbirding in Australia, but he failed to understand that there were blackbirding in Peru as well. And that was in the guana fields. Right? And then once again, as I requested, if people want to see the connection between Chile and Polynesian, I've made a YouTube clip on it. You can look up. I've added some books that you can also look up and read for yourselves. Right? So 40 years is not accurate, is what I'm saying. We were in captivity way before the Spanish arrived. That's why I try to illustrate. But I'll make another YouTube because that YouTube was taken down. My original Wahala Naphtali page, where I showed you that the Pacific Islanders, also the Native Americans, and also those of South America and Central were worshipping the gods of Assyria, which is Nisroch, which is the man bird, and also the snake god. Right? That's why you could find totems within North America, South America, and also the Pacific Islands. We were worshipping idols of wood and stone. That's seen throughout North America all the way to South America to the Pacific realms. Why? Because we're still worshipping the gods of our captors, which is Assyria. That's why we're still cursed. That's why we're still low within the economy. And that's why Sicarii or Guerrilla Hebrew is trying to ask questions like, what has Polynesians been known for? Right? What have we invented? And it's funny, like when they ask questions, who's the Michael Jordan of Polynesia, or who's the that's nothing to brag for. You're still a slave, right, to Esau. Why highlight something to prove where Michael Jordan is a sellout, playing for Esau, making Esau's income? Makes no sense. Why brag about these things when you should be bragging about the Most High and the laws? But it seems like these guys have a hatred, right? But let's continue on.
I'm gonna open up for questions, comment, and smoke.
Oh, I guess that's it. But that's my reaction and my response to Sicarii. I've answered most of his questions and replied to it. And I asked some questions to the deacon, and hopefully he replies back to it. But I'm going to play the song for Deacon and the Sicarii crew. I played the song before, but I'm going to play it again. This is a group that's well known, right? Well known in the within the South Pacific, but also in America. This is the Booyah tribe.
Switch to TV today.
But this song's dedicated to you, Deacon, specifically, since you're the one who created this YouTube. And this is created to every other one West out there that don't seem to understand the connection between the Pacific Isles and those of South America. I already explained Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 23 that South America wasn't split. There is no Chile or Argentina. That's the Machu land. That's one whole landmass, South America. And then on the west of South America is the Pacific Ocean. And that word west in Hebrew that you find in Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 23 is Yam, which is ocean, large body of water. How simple can that be? But this song's for you, Deacon. This is your boy Wahala Nakatulu. Thank you for listening. But I think I already made my points. Other than that, have a blessed day. And can't wait for Esau's kingdom to fall. Hopefully everybody's keeping safe. Kwam Yasharala, and all praises to the higher power, the Most High, whether you call him Yahweh, right, or Ahaya. But I'll call him my Heavenly Father, since in another tongue, I can't speak any other tongue but English, so I'm going to call him my Heavenly Father, right? So all praises to our Heavenly Father, and double honors to those that are doing the work diligently, and may we follow His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? Hopefully we follow Him and have the same passion to come back to the laws, but to keep things simple, fear the Most High, and keep His laws. Peace, family. Much love.